work in Renew Power, and we have around 1,500 megawatts of ground-mounted solar and then the wind assets. And the first thing I would like to say is that when we started venturing into rooftop, we found it very attractive. The reason being there is no payment delay as compared to what we get from the SEBs. Payments are pretty smooth. Then there is no land hassles. So if you look in ground-mounted power plants, 80% of the delays or the risk are more around land. That is nowhere in rooftop. And then the biggest issue which we are facing nowadays in ground-mounted solar and also in wind is curtailment. So that also is not prevalent in rooftop. So on a larger basis, we believe that this segment has a lot of advantages with this. But I would like to hear the views of the panelists along with me. Maybe, Gagan, may I ask you this question? Do you see that 40 gigawatt target as set by Government of India achievable? And even if I bring down the targets or the projections given by Crystal Research of 12 to 13 gigawatt by 2022, do you see any of these two targets achievable?
Is it okay now? Yeah. So I was a bit surprised when I saw that CRISIL is saying that 11 to 12 or 13 gigawatts as compared to, I mean, putting it forward as a matter of fact that fine, we won't be able to meet 40 gigawatts. But I think the way things are moving right now, if status quo is maintained, if we do business the traditional way, if we look at rooftop solar as the way we have been looking at solar all around, I think even achieving 12 to 13 gigawatts would be an Herculean task. To answer your question, is 40 gigawatt possible? I think it's a hugely challenging target. And unless we shake things around, unless we do something which has not been done so far and start looking at solar rather than as an industrial product, but start looking at as a consumer product. Because at the end of the day, solar is an energy which is to be consumed by people across the country, across whether they're residential, industrial, commercial, doesn't matter. Everyone needs energy. And of course, when you move towards a lot of people who don't have access to energy, rural areas, then of course, you know, a lot more of that. Also considering the per capita energy consumption that we have, there is no other way that the country can achieve this. I mean, if we have to meet the Chinese numbers in terms of per capita energy consumption, or even inch closer to the European or American numbers, there is no other way than to revolutionize the way you know, solar energy is looked at, is perceived by consumers. And if you're able to bring about that mindset shift, you know, people start understanding that solar is, people today hear a lot about solar, there's a lot of curiosity, but they don't understand that they can also use it. A lot of people, like I think Pranav mentioned that 2019-20 onwards, when you see individual or residential market starting picking up, we see no reason why we shouldn't be putting more focus right now in terms of increasing consumer demand. So rather than trying to push solar down consumers' throat, we should be spending more and more effort in increasing demand, creating that pull from consumers. And if you are able to do that, of course, all these policies, interventions, as you very rightly mentioned, do need to support all of that. But if you are able to do that successfully, Parag, I think 40 gigawatts is something which is highly achievable.
Got it. Hiren, you being from MNRE, what is, can you just briefly tell everyone what schemes MNRE/SECI is coming up with to promote renewables?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, Mr. Gagan, I also agree with you that task is huge, but it's achievable. This 40 gigawatt is achievable, and there are many ways to do it. We're trying to do it. First is the major players, that means identification of the major players. See, most of the installation till now has been done in industrial and commercial sectors. After that, it is in government sector. Then institutional and residential sector. So first we have to find out the major players who are doing installations and who are interested in installations. So how we will know that who are interested in installation of rooftop? I think most of the participants are from private organization. Is it? Is it? No?
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
say that.
and most are, I think, new companies. Uh, so until now we have empaneled 1,200 companies in our website. We have a website, solarrooftop.gov.in. So we are trying to use this website. We are trying to make it everything online. That means identification of the beneficiaries, then his interest, and after that aggregation of demand, then everything. We are trying to do it. In addition, we are also doing in government sector. What we are doing in government sector, we have allotted few PSUs. We have allotted 16 PSUs, different ministries. So in different ministries, they have submitted a commitment of around 3,890 megawatt. And one direction has come from Cabinet Secretariat that every government building has to be solarized by March 2017. So there is a huge pressure in every government department also right now to install the solar projects by 31st March. So we have identified these PSUs, and one of the PSU, that is SECI, they have done 500 megawatt tender. Then they have invited pre-bid for 1,000 megawatt tender. This 1,000 is purely for government sector. Out of that 3,890 megawatt. So like this, few other players like PEC, CEL, NTPC, NVVN, and BEL, they are also coming with tenders. So I request you to participate in those tenders also. So this tender will give incentive of around 25% for government buildings, and for the institutional it will be 30%. And what we are also doing is we are also trying to get cheap loans from different multilateral loans. So last year this Department of Economic Affairs has reduced this guarantee fee. This guarantee fee is right now 1.2%. If someone borrows loan from outside India, then 1.2% guarantee fee has to be paid by the borrower, sorry, the institution who is going to give the loan. So this has been reduced to 0.5% right now for 3 loans. This is this Evolve Bank loan of 625 million, then ADB loan of 500 million, and New Development Bank 250 million. So this, there is a reduction of 0.7% in guarantee fee. In addition to make direct procurement, we have also in consultation with Ministry of Commerce. They have a wing of DGSND. Like other products, we are also trying to make the product solar rooftop as a product and fix up the cost so that directly government can procure the things from the M-panel vendors. Their technical particulars have been already uploaded in DGSND website, so you can check it out. And final rate contract will also come very soon. In addition, you have mentioned that RESCO mode will be a very good option for the next few years or so. So to popularize this RESCO mode, we are doing few things in government sector, like we are finalizing the model PPA. This model PPA has been vetted by Ministry of Law and Ministry of Finance, and of course MNRE also. So I will tell you one case of last year. SECI has invited tender for CPWD projects, 50 megawatt. It's a small tender, but they have identified the vendors. They have finalized the rates. These vendors has gone to the defined beneficiaries of government sector, and they are trying to sign the PPAs. Then they were facing problems that, okay, we need approval from our parent departments. I am not going to sign on my behalf. I will take approval from my parent department, and it will take another 6 months or so, or 10 months or 1 year or so, like this. So to make up these problems and to find a solution, we have finalized this PPA. It's available in our website. So I also request you to kindly go through that PPA. And in addition, we have finalized the CAPEX agreement. So these are the few things we are trying to do it. And in addition, for discoms, like you have said, for discoms, we are trying to create some cell in discoms. We are trying to formulate one scheme for discom. That SFC, that is Standing Finance Committee meeting, has already been approved. So very soon one discom scheme will come where these discoms will be given an amount of rupees 37.5 lakh per megawatt to make up their soft cost. And in addition, through multilateral these agencies like World Bank, ADB, and USAID, we are allocating few states to them. So they will go to those states and they will try to convince the discoms, and it will be free of cost for them, for the discoms. So these are a few things that we are trying, and of course, we expect a huge participation from you, basically from in the industry. Thank you.
Thanks, Hiren. It's very informative. My next question to Mr. Ramakrishna. He's from Tata Power, and I think he's the right person to tell us what is the right mix to assume going forward between the CapEx and the OpEx model. Though I understand that by now more than 1 gigawatt of rooftop has been installed in India, and out of that hardly 150 megawatt is coming from OpEx. But I think most of the people in the panel are of the view that RESCO model is which is going to be promoted more. So what's your view on the same?
Thanks very much, Parag. Good morning to everyone. I think it's a no-brainer that that RESCO model is the future. I can't put a number to it, whether it would be 60%, 65% as we move forward. But that's really the way forward as far as rooftops is concerned. I just would like to build on a few points that have been raised. I think I really like the point of the model PPA. The model PPA is very important because many times, many organizations, the PPA format falls between the cracks between various departments of the organizations, and it takes a lot of time, could be 6 months, 8 months, or 10 months sometimes. I think that's a very good initiative. While we're talking about the target, we're talking about the 40, whether we would do 40 gigawatt or whether it would be 12, 13, that's a number. But I think what's very crucial is what is it that we need to be doing to ensure that we get there. We use this very interesting word called, I think Gagan spoke of this word called curiosity about solar. I think, yes, there is curiosity. But what is it that we're going to do to convert this curiosity to demand? The demand to purchase, and that's when we're really going to head towards the 40 gigawatt. I personally believe that 40 gigawatt is possible, provided we do certain things. We focus on the process that's needed to get there. A few points. My understanding of the market, and I like to turn the prism a bit and look at it from the consumer standpoint. And from the consumer standpoint, basically there are three things which I found the consumer looks at. Everything that you look at basically under three things. One, consumers looking at economics, all the subsidies, the pricing, etc. That's very important. And I think the presentation that Pranav made was brilliant, especially the one which showed about the impact of each of the parameters. That was really brilliant. So economics, I think, is playing a very crucial role. The second is convenience. I'll just spend a couple of minutes on convenience. And the final thing is about emotion. Do I get green? Am I the first person? Am I the first person in my street to get to go green? So emotion plays a very critical thing. I think in the first part, as far as economics is concerned, I think the policies, I think a lot of policies have been rolled out. Interesting policies have been rolled out. I think my big question is on the second point in terms of convenience. All the policies that have been rolled out, are they well executed? I have a question on that. And is the consumer really getting what he thinks he would get in the right time frame? I think there is a question mark also around that. A case in point really is net metering. Net metering is a very exciting thing. But once the net metering is there, once a consumer wants to go in for net metering, is it convenient enough for him to get to the synchronization level? Is everyone in the DISCOM fully aware of the process? I think there are few gaps. I think few states are doing it pretty well. Few states possibly need some improvement. I think that process of this whole ecosystem of operations in solar, I think is one of the most critical aspects for us to get there. The 37 lakhs per megawatt, I think one of the process there is that they want to disburse that amount to various discoms, where they want to, for their distribution network or the IT infrastructure, and also that money is also supposed to be spent to increase consumer awareness. I think it's a combination of all of this happens. I think we're going to head there. Apart from this, the RESCO model, the finance model, and I've said this many times, I think we need to do in solar, we need to do what the automobile industry has done. Many years ago, if we went to a showroom, we just looked at the car, took a drive, and then wrote a check, or didn't write a check and came back. But these days, you go to the showroom, you have an ICICI bank or an HDFC bank person already there with you. And therefore, finance plays a very, very crucial role in purchase of automobile. I think solar industry also has to head there. And if you're talking about the residential growth, which I think is going to be the big ticket item in the next 5 years, finance will play a very crucial role. I'm sorry if I disappointed you about the exact number, but my take, about 60% to 65% will be the RESCO.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Ramakrishnan. Pranav, I think you have made a very good presentation, and it covers various aspects.
Yeah.
Just one question, as I was just the why in FY 16-17 the rooftop capacity addition is coming out to be lesser than
in 16-17, we still believe that there are significant challenges. A lot of discoms are still in terms of implementing the Uday scheme, in terms of administrative bandwidth that we understand that is available from the discoms end is quite constrained. There we are seeing a lot of issues. They're in the process of ironing out a lot of these administrative and procedural issues. And hence, we believe there is going to be some amount of slowing down, or pickup will happen, say, a year or two down the line. So that is why we believe that there will be some slowdown there.
Okay, thanks, Pranav. Gagan, back to you. We understand that marketing is really a very big cost for any solar developer. And we have been hearing about the examples in US, whoever has done big there. They're investing a lot in marketing. What is your view? You have also recently launched an online platform. So how much do you think is this going to be bringing down the economics of a solar rooftop? So much small capacity spread across various locations, so much of marketing effort to convert every client. How much do you think this is going to be a hindrance for the growth of rooftop?
I think the biggest hindrance is the marketing. So I think you asked a very apt question. And I'm sure all the entire solar industry is facing that dilemma. When we started MySun, the basic idea was, apart from, consumers, of course, curiosity, and the curiosity was dying down because there was no one to channel that curiosity to a successful solar transaction. But when you look at the industry side, most of the players, larger ones, are also the large players in the utility scale as well, barring one or two. So of course, when you see 40, 50, 100, 200 megawatts coming in one go from a couple of projects, and then to get even 1/10 of that through 20 times more number of projects, of course, from a mindset perspective, the companies prefer to focus more on the utility scale side. So rooftop solar never got that kind of a mindset. Right? And then there were about 95% of the companies. When we started, there were about 400 companies which were just empaneled with MNRE. And I'm sure there were equal 400 numbers which are not empaneled with MNRE as well. Even now, there are a lot of companies which have been winning tenders and not empaneled with MNRE today. So with such a huge number of companies, and still not being able to make an impact. You know, we did about 0.5 gigawatt last year, and you know, much lower in the previous years. That tells that there's something which is fundamentally wrong in the way we approach the market reach, the way we approach the marketing or the business development efforts. And we realized that most of the time it is this traditional door-to-door marketing, the way the insurance policies or any other similar product used to be sold, or even mutual funds. There's no, I mean, we all know mutual funds also haven't been able to make a big dent so far. So is solar to be sold like that, or do we need to bring in a different perspective? And that's how we said, let's use the medium of internet. Let's try to reduce. I mean, we realized that most of the companies, their customer acquisition cost per watt, a lot of companies didn't even measure that metric. We did a lot of research, and why they didn't measure that metrics? Because this was an ugly number. No one want, I mean, as a CEO, you don't want to see ugly operational numbers. So, you know, if you want to make an impact, if you want to reach out to the masses, you have to get to a medium which allows you to reach to the masses. You cannot hire a 100-member business development team or a 200-member business development team. At best, they will take you to a regional leadership position or maybe a state-level regional leadership. But how do you become a national player? Right? And that is where we realized, let's use the medium of internet. But then it's easier said than done. You have to still get to the consumer side. You have to get into the mindset of how consumers, what do they actually want? And as Ramakrishna clearly said, there are certain things when you start looking at from a consumer perspective, there are certain things which they want. They are not bothered about whether I am getting it from solar or I'm getting it from grid or anywhere else. They just need power 24/7, which is cheaper than what they are paying today and which continues to be cheaper than what they are projected to pay for the next 25 years. And the moment we understand, and then they don't want to get into the hassles. Today, buying solar is a big hassle for a lot of majority of the consumers, right? Now, they don't want to go through these hassles. If someone tells me that, Gagan, you have to get solar, it'll save you probably 5,000 rupees per month in your home, but this is what you all have to do. You have to give your rooftop space to someone, and you'll have to figure out 5, 10 different people. I think I would say, fine, I am happy paying 5,000 more. I'll see when time comes and, when it comes to me. So there's a procrastination which develops because solar is not energy is not a priority, because in cities, typically we do get power, right? So the idea is, how do we reduce that cost of customer acquisition from an industry perspective? And that's why we realize, let's create a company which can help reduce this cost, right? And not taking much time, I'll just take a very quick illustration. We said, if a traditional model, if I have to reach out to 100 customers, I'll say, okay, fine, I'll give my business development guy a target. Okay, reach out to 100 target customers, and the conversion rates are so low. A business development guy will go and say, okay, I have reached 100 people. Only 2 or 3 people have finally shown interest in trying to buy solar. And I have lost probably 1 or 2 months during that time frame, and a lot of cost has been incurred on account of overheads, my team costs and other stuff. Then what happens, those 2 or 3% people, when they are finally convinced that they want to go solar, they say, okay, fine, now, you have told me everything good about solar, but now I want to go and benchmark with 5, 6 other players. So all the effort that this first company has done comes to a naught, because then the customer says, I have every right to go and benchmark, which is absolutely right. Now imagine the cost of customer acquisition for the entire solar industry. If 6 companies are hitting on one customer, everyone is spending about 10, 20, 30,000 on that customer. Now the customer acquisition cost for the entire solar industry is huge. That's probably more than 1 lakh, right? Now, do we need to, ultimately only one company is going to, sell, right? So now we say that, can we become that marketing company? Can we put in all that effort at one place, right? And then provide all that, we curate the customer to a certain level where he's ready, and he understands what he needs to buy, right? so that a lot of marketing effort is not wasted by individual companies. There's one company just spending that much money. And then overall, we're saying if we can bring down the cost of customer acquisition for the industry by 80, 90%, and then we share that cost. Of course, we are here in for business, so we take our margin, but then we provide that information to all these 6 or 5 companies who are eventually trying to win that business at a fraction of the cost. It's a win-win situation. Everyone, the customer is happy. He's not inconvenienced because 5, 6 different companies are telling him 6 different stories. Industry is happy because their cost of customer acquisition has come down to much lower numbers. And
very well appreciated your point. I will just like to carry on the discussion. Kiran, we understand that hardly 150 to 200 megawatts of rooftop has been installed on the government roofs out of the 1200 megawatt odd which has been done in the country. What do you see the projection going forward? Is government roof, particularly because of the 1000 megawatt coming up, this number is significantly going to jump?
Yeah, I expect it because see, this scheme has been launched in 2014 June, and after that there was a confusion came around that it should be 15% subsidy, it should be there. So the new guideline has been in action from May. It's working. Yeah. So right now it's 2007. Sorry, May 2016. The new guideline has come for government buildings. So based on this, we have done the surveys of different ministries through different PSUs. So they have finded out different demands. Like SECI has find out list of around 2,000 to 3,000 buildings where the rooftops can be installed. So they are having these demands. In the similar way, other PSUs are having also the different demands. So it is expected that this 1000 megawatt of SECI and 500 megawatt of SECI will make the things in a better way in the next say one year. And in addition, we have sanctioned a few megawatts to states, around 1000 megawatts. So the highest share has gone to Tamil Nadu, 300 megawatt, and after that Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, there we have sanctioned 100 megawatt. So that's Maharashtra has better tenders. So there is some L1. So there it will be done very soon, and MP is also going to have some tenders. So it is achievable actually. This 150 megawatt that you have told that in last few years has been commissioned because there was no such clear-cut policy at that time. But right now we have a clear-cut policy and we have clear-cut instruction from the cabinet also. So very soon it is going to be installed in government buildings.
Thanks.
And in addition to Mr. Gagan point, just want to tell you that we are going to launch a mobile app very soon. It will be and also we have framed the latest guideline for channel partners, empanelment of channel partners. So therein we are also targeting one category of solar ambassador. So basically what the solar ambassador will do, they will aggregate the demands and they won't charge anything from the customer, but they will charge from the project developers, and we are trying to empanel them also.
Yeah, thanks, Ren. Mr. Ramakrishna, we all have been talking about various policies which has been issued but not implemented properly, and obviously there will be some policy moves which is lacking also. So what do you believe is the most urgent policy initiative which government should take to let rooftop grow?
I believe the most important policy for rooftop to grow, the government has already the 30% or the 70% in states, etc. I think that's a pretty good policy for the end consumer, and it works. As I said earlier, we need to first what's important is how many people know about it. We need to popularize that. And second, which is very important, is that we need to ensure that the process of disbursement is transparent and fast. Because the moment I see my neighbor getting the 30%, I get excited to go in for that, and my right side neighbor also gets in for that. Therefore, I, at this point in time, it is a, if I may use the word, a phrase, it's the zone of consolidation that is required. Policies have been rolled out. We've not been able to execute them well enough. If we execute them well, I think this year could be a very, very, very interesting year as far.
Yeah, sure, Pranav.
So in terms of policy also, things like net metering is very, very critical. As we understand, on the ground implementation has not been very, very effective. And this is an aspect which even globally has resulted in significant growth. So this is one key thing that needs to be looked out for and implemented very, very effectively. In fact, in certain cases, even amendments to the net metering policy would be very important. Say, for instance, allowing net metering also for group captive based models. All such kind of initiatives would also significantly result in growth on the rooftop market.
Yeah, thanks, Pranav. So, Pranav, last question to you. So, you mentioned about importance of storage in rooftops. So, and you also gave a trend that yes, the storage cost is going to drastically reduce over the next 4 or 5 years. But do you see any implementations happening as of now in this financial year, next financial year, or people are waiting to let the cost come down?
See, as far as storage-based solutions, I think there's just in Andhra Pradesh that there has been an announcement that has been made, but that too is on ground-mounted projects and not on rooftop projects. But yes, on the rooftop front, things will take some time to evolve. Storage solutions at affordable prices, we at least do not anticipate that happening anytime before 2020-21. Post which things could materially improve, because on the global front, significant capacities are being planned by automobile companies, by other OEMs, which is expected to result in significant supply coming on board, which is when we really expect costs to come down. Other aspects that will contribute to reduction in costs will be better technology, rising scale of production. All of these aspects we also believe will contribute to decline in storage costs. But having said that, we do not expect that to clearly happen anytime before 2020-21.
Thanks, Pranav. I think with this, yeah, sure.
Parag, my question to you is, as one of the largest developers in India in renewables, and having too many assets operating under wind as well as solar, large scale as well as rooftops, how do you see the risk profile of rooftop solar assets from an ownership and a contract compliance perspective today? And how do you see that trend moving forward? Because if everyone says that the CapEx or the OpEx model or the RESCO model is going to grow, of course, then the challenges around the contract compliance will also continue to grow, because we don't see any effective mechanism to reduce that risk profiling for the assets. So what's your view on that?
Look, a very pertinent question. So as I mentioned in the beginning, there is an advantage of rooftop in the rooftop business, that the credit risk is less as compared to the credit risk when we sell to a utility. And that is in the perspective that in certain states like Maharashtra, we are getting paid after 12 months. Tamil Nadu, we are getting paid after 13, 14 months. So from that perspective, we can make a general statement that rooftop credit worthiness might be better. But having said that, it all depends upon what kind of customers you are signing up with. So whenever we do RESCO in our firm, we have a very strict guidelines from the board that the credit rating of the customer with whom we are doing RESCO should be A- or better than A-. So if you maintain that discipline, then the problems that we will be facing in the future hopefully would be less. I think in the long run, people like CRISIL, ICRA, they should come out with a rating of a consumer as an independent assessment of a consumer. We have been talking to both the rating agencies if that can be floated. It will really help all the developers, people like you, me, Tata Solar, we need not go down to the assessment and be very dependent on the public reading which has been announced. I think with this, I will keep the house open for the questions. We all would like to answer any question that you have.
Hi, myself Navneet Luthra. I am heading new energy initiatives at Bharti Infratel. We are a telecom tower company with highest number of solar installation as of now. So I had a particular question in my mind. We have been talking of the fact that we may not be able to reach 40 gigawatt, but we have been targeting. And we have left out commercial and industrial sector out of the capex subsidy purview. Whereas I feel we being a telecom tower company could have been really helpful in growing it at a very faster pace. Currently we see, for example, we are not able to get to that capex subsidy and we require power at distributed centers. We don't have a very large space at a single site. So that capex subsidy would have really helped us in bringing down the cost to what level we expect, to 5 rupees or 4.5 rupees. Because currently we don't see such costs in a distributed manner. This is one of my questions or maybe suggestions to the panelists to look into it. And then
I think the right person to answer is MNRE.
Just wanted to know how much you are paying for electricity bill.
we are paying almost 7.5 to 8 rupees.
Solar is also like that.
Solar is higher than that for a 7 kilowatt or a 4 kilowatt system which we are installing right now.
Okay.
When we include maintenance, because we are required to maintain it, there will be a cleaning cost and everything. Then there is a cost of replacement of controllers and other electricals which are involved.
You are not running DC sets?
We are comparing right now to EV. We are doing that.
Yeah,
we
you are doing that, na? So that's why we are not actually.
So when we talk about the fact that we have taken a Herculean task that we want to have a 40 gigawatt installation and we want to ensure that the cost is lower, be equivalent to EV, so that people are incentivized. So that's what I'm saying. So when I don't feel the residential consumer will be really interested in going for this. There will be few reasons to it. First, you are going to install at his rooftop. So there is always going to be a problem from him for maintenance and everything, and he will not like to leave out his rooftop or lease out his rooftop to people around. There will be only commercial consumers who will be really interested. And when you talk about institutional, I would be very sorry. If you go to Hooda City Center, I don't know whether any of you have gone there or not, they have installed solar panels. But when you have a look at it, they haven't cleaned it for many months altogether. So the upkeep is an issue if you go to I don't know. But when you talk about us or professional companies or commercial companies who are really interested in it, who are there to maintain it, so I feel that capex subsidy should be extended. Without which, I don't think so it will be really feasible for you to go ahead and have that 40 gigawatts. Especially keeping in consideration next year's that accelerated depreciation from 80% is going to come down to 40%. That's another I feel, disadvantage to the entire industry, whosoever is sitting here.
I think one of the things is that once the penalties really start kicking in for companies like you, because I believe there is a regulation also which you have to meet. So maybe the rooftop will become more viable for you.
Yeah, I feel penalties can be there for everyone. Why for us? No, but it may be there for you. You are also consuming.
No, I know,
you have a car,
so I'm just joking.
BMW or whatever you have. So you should be penalized. Let's not talk about penalties. We should talk about incentivization. Yeah. If we talk about penalties, people sitting out here will be having a luxury cars.
No, I'm fully in support
their
of
carbon
you,
credit should be
because
calculated.
our business also will grow if there is a...
That's the right approach, I suppose.
Yeah, but we take your point. I think it is more of MNRE's view on these issues rather than we as an industry can really put the views to them.
Yes, MNRE was there in a panel, so I just thought it would be the right place to raise up this question, which is right now hindering the growth. Right. That was my concern.
Yeah, we can carry on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Manish Agarwal. I am from NK Solar. We are doing EPC and we are into module manufacturing also. I just want to ask from Mr. Vora, is there any particular things which facing about this net metering system? A lot of people, only in 1 or 2 states, they are giving us a net metering system very easily. But a lot of states, we are not getting this net metering system. So is there any government initiative in which we can complain to them and the government can take some action against these DISCOMs who are not ready to give this net metering systems?
Yeah, you can complain, but we are also getting complaints and we are today. Right now, we are facing problems from different parts of the country, like Haryana, we are regularly having some problems of connectivity, and in Maharashtra also.
UP is also very bad.
UP, but there is not much installations in UP. But in Haryana,
Trying to get it done, but no, nothing is being
who is
done by
Discom, sir?
UPPCL.
UPDCL. Okay.
UPPCL.
UPPCL. So you can lodge your complaint to MNRE's Public Grievances Cell. So we are going to held up some meetings with them and also try to resolve the issue. And see, sir, basically this is a transition phase. Right now, are being installed and they need connectivity. So this is a transition phase. So that's why we are trying to convince the discoms that we are having a scheme for you, and you participate in our scheme and you give in connectivity. So, and we are also going to give some awards to them. So we are trying to do that to find this a solution for this issue.
Until then, it is very difficult to promote to the consumers in
Yes.
the residential sector or
Yes, yes, I agree.
commercial sector.
Yes, your problem.
Thank you.
So you can watch in CP grams.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bhupendra Rawat. I am representing Renewables here. So my question is more of manufacturing side here, and I'm moving from service to manufacturing now, the question. See, we are talking about 40 gigawatt. I'm sure that, in India, currently the manufacturing capacity stays to around 5 gigawatt levels. So how are we ensuring that at least we utilize these capacities, Because most of the projects are actually utilizing imports. Recently, SECI has definitely supported us by, 10 years. But then how are we going to see that, this stays and at least, the local industry grows along with the, the service industry? So what are the,
So I'll, at the end of it, hand it over to Hiren for the steps of MNRE. But however, it's a point that has crossed my mind multiple times. And I think your question itself is a challenge to all of us. You really ask this question, why are imports on the increase? It boils down to a simple fact that their cost of production is much lower. They are managing business in a smarter way than we are. So the challenge for us is getting the right balance between speed, quality, and the cost. We have to ensure that it's an open market, it's a world market. We need to compete with them and ensure that our consumers get it at a better price. The challenge is we need to be far more efficient than we have been till now. And this we've realized only because of the impact that the imports have had on us. When will it be possible? It's anyone's question.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I surely agree with you that they are definitely competitive. But as far as manufacturing cost goes on, I think India is not far behind them. Because what they enjoy is, other than manufacturing cost advantages, which is value chain availability, because in India, I think investment will only take place when we are able to utilize what is already present. So that's what my point was basically. Because it is the finance, low cost of finance available to them, the value chain availability, of course, the capacities available with them, 40 plus gigawatt against 5 gigawatt. My question was basically, even with 5 gigawatt, how are we able to utilize it, Because we cannot compete 40 straight, because there are other factors which impact, export benefits, low cost of financing, of course, value chain offering, capacity. So there are so many advantages available to them. Whereas the people who are investing here in India, we have recently added capacities, cells as well as modules. Now, what is there for us? And if we are not able to utilize that capacity, how are we going to invest? We are open to invest further. But then how are we going to invest it if we are not able to utilize the current capacities? So we need to have some additional benefits, which puts us, to compete with them. Because manufacturing, definitely we are competing with them.
Yeah, let's peel the onion one at a time. So basically, 3 points that you made. One is cost of manufacturing. Second is cost of finance. And the third is supply chain, right? So cost of manufacturing, you believe that we are almost the same as them. I don't agree to you on that. We are higher there. That's where I believe we need to get on efficiencies. I completely agree with you that they have access to better cost of finance. I think we need to do something. I don't have an answer to that. Supply chain, when it comes down to, we have this once, in fact, they have a disadvantage as far as supply chain is concerned, because they come in, they hit the port, and from the port they do internal. Our we have an advantage on supply chain. Therefore, all of the 3 points of the 3 pillars that you discussed, we are at a disadvantage. In my view, one on cost of manufacturing, second is cost of finance. Cost of manufacturing is purely our responsibility to get far more efficient. Regarding cost of finance, I don't know if Hiren has a view on that.
Sir, for this manufacturing side, I just want to tell you that to safeguard this domestic manufacturing, we have introduced the content of DCR in our scheme. So any project which are getting subsidy will be guided by this DCR content. The modules needs to be in Indian made. We are trying to safeguard it. But since India has also signed the WTO agreement, so let's see how much we can go ahead with this. That's a decision to be taken by upper level. So that's the one of the thing. And in addition, see, anyone who buys a solar rooftop or solar system, he wants some guarantee. So if we are able to give him some generation guarantee or some bankable guarantee or something like that, then it does not matter to him it's a Indian module or it's a outsider module. So we also have to think of that, because at last the customer who is going to be benefited. So, and if he is not satisfied with the content, then whether it's a Indian module or whether it's outside module, then that company may not be sustainable. So we have also look after this thing also. And to manufacturing in India, we are trying to formulate some scheme that's under process.
Thanks, sir. Joshi Clean Tech Solar. We are a operator.
This question is on net metering and sort of heavily related to NRE efforts or government efforts. So the goal, I guess, for all of us is to try to increase the amount of solar in general, rooftop solar in particular. But with that focus, we do come up with some very bold efforts to improve our PPAs or SECI tenders that are going on, etc. But doesn't it make about as much sense to, let's say, give the DISCOMs 2 or 3 rupees incentive per megawatt of net meter, or rather 2 or 3 rupees per watt incentive per net metered watt? That's a very direct transaction between your government and semi-government entities, and the private parties automatically end up benefiting because you have enabled something economically, commercially, as opposed to going through like 15, 20 rupees per watt of subsidy, which are much larger than the number I'm talking about. Because practically most of our assets, and we have about 25 or 30 megawatts now, can be doubled. Most of them can be doubled if we had energy on the other.
Your question. So you were saying rather than asking for subsidies, why don't we start charging a lesser rate and start supplying power at a very attractive rate for the DISCOMs? But just to have one point here, if you see the APPC, the average power procurement cost of a distribution licensee, on an average in India, it's around 3 to 3.5 rupees. So if you talk about incentivizing DISCOMs for purchasing power from solar, unless and until it has a element of RPO, it doesn't make sense to them.
have to do anything. We're asking them to, all the legal structure remains the same. Why not give them an incentive that they have a reason to net meter, in addition to everything else that's happening? Not that.
We are proposing that in our next discount.
Whenever it makes sense.
So it is already there in certain states. Let's say in Karnataka, the whole wheeling and banking charges is zero. So which means that there is nothing which they are charging on net metering. But in case of Andhra and Telangana, they are charging some 2% plus 5%. So it is varying from state to state if you want to see from that perspective. But I believe currently net metering, which we all understand as far as rooftop solar developers is concerned, is more acting as a banking. It is not that at the end of the year we are selling some power to the DISCOM. It is just that we are using DISCOM for the banking arrangement, and the banking charges are zero. So only thing which you are proposing is to incentivize DISCOM, we may ask for certain banking charges, right? Is this what you are saying? Yeah, so just to take that last point, so I'm just saying that so small a volume for distribution licensees, and on that also some very small number of banking charges. So I think it is just that if we lobby hard, we go to the regulator, get it implemented, that's more beneficial for the sector. We are struggling rather than taking it further. That's my personal view. Gagan can add.
Yeah, I think, Anurag, the point is very valid, and that's what we also believe. And the gentleman here from Bharti Infratel also raised that point. C&I today does not get subsidies. My personal belief, and sorry if I offend you, that C&I does not need subsidies because there's a lot of returns on investment already. But if instead of giving any subsidy to the consumers and individual consumers or through implementing agencies, if all of that subsidy can be given to the state level DISCOMs straight away for per megawatt, which of course they've made a good start, but it's easier. Government to government money moves. Consumers are not inconvenienced, and it's a first come first serve basis. You apply for net metering. There should be a very transparent mechanism of who's coming first, because then DISCOMs should not start using their prerogative to decide who came first and who came last. I think that's a effective, that might be turn out to be an effective mechanism of incentivizing people to move to solar. Because if I invest 1 crore in a solar project and my returns on investment are about more than 20% already, I don't need that capital subsidy upfront. All I need is that if I decide to go solar, I should be able to do it as of tomorrow or probably day after. I think that is something which is inhibiting the growth of solar, and I think that also came out in Pranav's presentation as well. So if MNRE can do something on that. Is that what, Anurag, you were mentioning?
And what the DISCOMs are doing through MNRE itself, they are not going through SNAs, they are doing it by themselves. Like Madhya Pradesh, Madhya Kshetra Vidyut Vitran Company Limited. And in Assam, we have recently sanctioned Assam Power Distribution Company Limited. So DISCOMs are also coming, 2-3 DISCOMs are also coming in board. So we are expecting a much response from others also.
I think with this, we would conclude this session. And I think in summary, all of us are agreeing to the fact that rooftop has a great potential in India. If not 40 gigawatt, at least 12, 13 gigawatt is what we are projecting till FY22. Thanks.